Welcome to the fourth session and final get together on using Canvas. Today's topic is very light and we're really just talking about course management and additional tools, and then we'll probably have quite a bit of time to ask any lingering questions you might have. So I would like to show you course settings. Over on the left-hand course menu, you've got settings at the very bottom. No matter how you rearrange, you always have settings at the bottom. And even though it does not have an I with the line through it, students do not see it. So only teachers, TAs, and some of the other like maybe colleague roles are going to be able to get into the settings area. So once you're in course settings, you're going to see that there's 5 tabs across the top. So you can click through and they give you even more options. I want to start with the 4 that are coming after this one. They're just much more simple, and we're going to end with the more complicated one at the end. So talking about sections. And I'm not sure is Jessica here? Hold on, I'm rearranging my view of who's with us, but okay, she's not here yet. But do any of you teach multiple sections of one course? Oh, okay. So there is a way when you're in here that your students will show. So I don't have any students at this time, but once my students are enrolled, this number would be different. And if I am teaching multiple sections, I have the option to cross-list them into one course. So if that doesn't apply to you guys, I'm not going to cover it. But just to let you know, it is an option if you're deciding to run a course that way, that you would like to have multiple sections of users in one space. This third tab here, the navigation menu. This is where I control what students see in my menu. And currently, we only have these 5 options, and I'm pretty sure that your course and Jessica will have set what you will have. But to change that, you can drag and drop something from the bottom up to the top, and then scroll down to click Save. And if I use my, one sec, I'm going to open up my homepage. If I use the student view, you'll see that's all that my students are going to be seeing. It's short and sweet and to the point. No place to get lost. So I'll leave this and come back. So dragging and dropping, that's as complicated as it gets here. This 4th tab is called External Apps. So you're going to see if you come to this installed option that your courses are going to come with some things already installed. And these are the things that the university has paid for, turned on, or managed for us. You can also come into, hold on one second, I'm going to refresh. There's usually, okay, there it is. It didn't show up the first time, but there's this little unassuming external link right here. I'm going to right click that and open it. And this will show you the actual website where all of the apps are explained. So if you're looking for something that a product claims it integrates with Canvas, you can come over here and you can find it. And let's just say I'm interested in Study Coach. I can click on Study Coach and I can read all about how it works and just get an idea of what it does. So I'm actually going to come back over into Canvas. So that's just a little link to the left right here on this line. You can also see a little bit more information when you scroll over, but as you can tell, this website has a little bit more details. The feature options tab, this last one on this section, has all of the things that Canvas currently makes available as an option. So right now, anonymous grading is an option you can enable, but it's not turned on automatically and it's not built into Canvas yet. So you can come over here and you can choose to enable it. And then sometime down the road, as they decide to adopt it, there will be a system upgrade and then it will be built into the course without having to manage it here. So that's just part of the process of how this company runs their product. They basically test out and let you use some features over here until the next update, or maybe several, and then they turn it on. So if you're interested in what's new and being tested out for right now, it's always going to be in the feature options tab. And then you would just scroll down, it'll give you a little one-liner and you can choose to enable it. If you're not familiar and this isn't enough information, then I always recommend using that help menu, open up the Canvas guides, and you can come over here and do a quick search and it will give you more information. So if you're interested in any of these, this is where you would turn them on. And then we're going to hop back to the first tab, which was course details, and talk about the rest of it. So this image on the top, I can choose to remove it. I've already added one, and I can remove it there, and I can say choose image, and I can either upload my own, or I can come over here to Unsplash and I can search for something related to medicine, and I can choose from these options and select it. Now, when I do that, I have to click update, but you then see in my dashboard, you and all of your students will have that image on the dashboard card. So that's the connection between those two spaces. The second one is the name. You are able to edit the name of your course. It will come with a name from Banner when it's created, but maybe you want to change the name. You won't be able to change any of the identification course code parts, but that's just for record keeping purposes. And then as you scroll down, you're going to have your sub account is actually going to say School of Osteopathic Medicine. It's just right now, this is a training course, so I have it in the sub account for training. And then of course you'll have the term for which you're teaching. And then you'll also want to change participation from term to course. Now, what this does is the term dates are associated with all of UIW, and as you all, I'm sure, are familiar with, we have lots of different parts of term. So there's not everybody starting class on one day and ending class on the same day. It's just not like that. Everybody has unique needs. You now get to control that of how your course opens and closes by changing participation to course and then entering the start and end for when you want this course to be open and closed for your students. You also have the option to restrict viewing before the start date and restrict viewing after the start date if you so choose to check these. If you leave them off, students will be able to see before being able to participate. So that's something to keep in mind. And of course, this is dependent on having published your course. So we'll talk about that before we leave today. You do have to push a button to publish. The file storage is set to 200 megabytes, which is 2 gigs. You have the option to turn on launching SpeedGrader filtered by your student groups if you're teaching a large course. You can set a grading scheme. So this is how you would you basically would have your grades entered in Canvas. They would end up getting, say, a 96. And because they got a 96, they would get an A in the course. So this is the scheme of where you control that. You can select another one. There's one for UIW only, but if you send me what you want your department grading schemes to be, we can put those in your sub-account level, and then you would see a list of choices here. So that's something to keep in mind we are able to do. Or you can just come in and click the pencil, give it a new name, and you can change it to be whatever you want. So you've got 2 ways to have that custom. I can uncheck it, and then my course does not have a grading scheme applied. I can scroll down. Basically, we have all of our courses by default are private and copyrighted. I don't know of anybody planning to change it, but this is where you would control that if you chose to open it up to public domain. You can choose to have copyright and license information provided every time you go to put something in Canvas. This is not turned on because it's really overkill, but you do have that as an option. Your visibility is going to be course level. Only the people enrolled in your course will see your course. Your other options include the whole institution, or it can be open to the public. So most everyone would leave that at course. And then, of course, we have the format. So if you're teaching on campus, online, or blended, you can set that there. And you can also allow content to be downloaded and viewed offline or not. By default, it does allow it. And then before you move on and think there's nothing more on this page, always remember to check your more options, because there is this little category at the bottom that doesn't seem like it would be very important, but it is. So here is where you would let students self-enroll. And most of you teaching academic courses, this isn't something you would need to do, but it is turned on for many of our Canvas training options. You can select to show the top number that you select of recent announcements on your homepage. So if that's something you're interested in doing, you want the homepage to include announcements, this is where you control that functionality. You can let students attach files to their discussion posts or not. So that's just a checkbox. You can let them create their own discussion topics or not, as well as edit, delete, organize their own groups. So this is just these four, or how do you want students to be able to control what they're doing. This one here, hide totals in the student's grade summary. So this one's pretty important. If you don't want students to see it, their grades and the totals, you need to turn this and check it. By default, it's showing to your students. If you don't want it to show, come and give it a check and it will hide it. Same concept goes for the grade distribution graphs. For every graded assignment, when grades are done, each student can see the grade distribution for the class. They can see who got the lowest, who got the highest, and that information is there. So if you don't want students to see that information, it's not with names, but if it's only a class of so many people, you can kind of, see a little bit of information there without the names, you can hide it. And then this last one is disable comments on announcements. So if you never want students to be able to post their comments on your announcements, you check this box. Otherwise, you have the option to have comments or not on every announcement. So there's multiple layers of control. This last one here is going to be indicating who can edit pages. So all those pages of content that you create, you can allow anyone to edit by default. I recommend leaving this as only teachers, and you can turn one single page open editing to the class if you so choose to want to make a wiki page, you can do that. But if you do it here, that makes every page open to whoever you indicate can edit. After you make changes on this page, you always want to make sure you click the save button, or you might lose the settings. And then you've also got stuff to the right here. So you can look at course statistics, you can look at the course calendar, you can import course content, you can export course content, and you can also validate links and content. So this is a really important button. If I click this button, I'm going to get another page and I have to start the validation. This will basically look through every single thing in your course for anything that might have a broken link. And I highly doubt we have anything, but let's just give it a second to run and we can take a look at what it pops up. And while we're waiting on that, does anybody have any questions about the course settings? No, pretty straightforward, just lots of buttons. Well, while it's doing this, I'm going to right click on my home and I'm going to open it in a new tab, and we can come over here and we can talk about this while we're still waiting. So on your home page, you're also going to have some more controls. At the top, you're going to see the course status. This is the publish button that overrides the course start and end dates. So if you have your course set to start April 20th, tomorrow, and you don't publish the course, no one will be able to see it. Okay. You can import existing content right here without going all the way to settings if you wanted to. You can import from the Commons. You can select your home page, just gives you a pop-up. You can view your course stream. Now this button here, students also have. So if I click the view my course stream, it's going to show me my recent activity for the whole course, whatever that happens to be. So if I go into the student view, I also get to see recent activity from a student's perspective as well. Then we have the button to create a new announcement. So you can do that here, or you can go over to the announcements and use the button that's there, either way. And then you also have the analytics button and course notifications. So analytics and course notifications. First time you visit, you've got this tutorial information to read more about the area, but it's basically going to give you your average course grade. It'll show you a nice graph here. It'll give you the option to download. It will give you a couple of display options. You can, of course, send a message to students who you have some options to control. You've got your weekly online activity. So I don't have any people participating in my course, so I don't really have anything going on here. But if I come over to my dashboard and I go to a course that's published, you might be able to see something fun. And this course doesn't have grades, but weekly online activity, you see I can kind of tell, how many people and how many pages they look on. Scroll down and it'll tell you a little bit more details about the resources. And there's lots of pages. Okay. And then of course I have students. I can look at information for each of my students. And then I also have reports that I can run to see sort of the details of some of the things that might be going on that you want to track. And then this one over here, the course notification settings. So just to keep in mind, it was this button here, and what it does is it lets you set how notifications are managed for this particular course. So you just keep in mind, you can go in and you can control this depending on how you want it to function. I have a tendency when I have courses, since they're not academic and I'm not working with actual students, to turn notifications off so that it's not telling me a bunch of announcements for things that I don't really need to know. But obviously for your courses, you'll probably have very specific needs that you'll want to handle. So let's come back to my link validator. Oh, nice, an error occurred. How lovely. So I'm going to refresh my page. And I don't believe it, so I'm going to close it. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to do it again because sometimes browsers are uncooperative. And it still thinks it's thinking, so I'm just going to let it keep going. So we talked a little bit about course settings, more options, the external apps, the student view. Now, the student view, this button is available in most places throughout your course. So no matter where you're at, you can click everywhere and it stays there. Okay, so you're in this space, you decide I want to see the student view, it's going to take you to show that to you. Now, every time you come in, it remembers that student as though it's the same person until you click reset student. So if you want to come in and pretend to test your course, you can look at everything and you can complete all of the assignments, all of the quizzes, all of the expectations you're asking your students to do as a practice student. It will remember that information so you can see the pretend grades, and you can pretend to grade using the speed grader until you click reset, and then it will wipe all of that information and you can start over and do it again. So when I leave student view and I click on grades, you will see the only person I have is the pretend student that I generated by clicking the student view button. All right, so I'm still disappointed that the course link validator is having a hard time. I'm not really sure what's going on with that, but it's never happened to me before in 4 years of working with Canvas. So who knows at this point, but we'll be patient and maybe it'll be back in business, you know, later this afternoon or tomorrow. It may just be something about this course that is behaving funny. And if I just go into one of my other ones, let's see if maybe it works over here. So we'll let that one think about it for just a little bit. Okay, so I really definitely highly recommend using the student view button, making sure you go back and you check to make sure you've published all of the things that you've built and you want them to access. Making sure that you use the test student to check the grade book so that it's calculating properly how you decide you want that calculated, and using your course settings to control how the course functions. Lots of power there. Okay, so happy to answer any questions, and I am here for the rest of the hour. So if you want to start with any questions on course management and additional tools, and then we can go off into answering any other questions about Canvas that you might have.
Melissa, I've gone on to my Canvas page, and there are some courses, or there's one course listed that I have not taught. Was it just an arbitrary pushover of courses, or
So the courses that came over is anything from 2020. If you taught a course last year and you were listed as a faculty on it, that's like you would still be attached. So you shouldn't see anything new that wasn't in Blackboard, but it doesn't.
there was a mistake made in that they had one faculty Dr. Steele, so they have me down for environmental health in the public health, when in fact it was Dr. Steele, and then mine was biostatistics, and I don't know who that got pushed out to.
Okay. Yeah,
And then
I'll check with Jessica and we'll get it straightened out for you.
Okay, sounds great. And then if we are teaching a course this summer, should it show up on here?
Yes. So your summer courses should be there, and if you don't have access to them, contact Jessica and she should be able to figure out exactly what's going on. So whoever's listed as the instructor of record in Banner should see the courses. So if you're not seeing your summer courses, then it's most likely Banner doesn't have your name entered yet, and that's going to need to happen.
Okay, and so if I wanted to check that, I would just go into Banner admin pages.
I honestly am not familiar with how you would check that. I know that at School of Physical Therapy and most of the health professions, we have a Banner administrator. So the faculty would contact her and then she would check. So I don't know if you can see that yourself.
Okay, all right, thank you so much. I appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
And just a reminder, everyone, so remember for your fall courses, you're going to see your courses loaded with all the information that was pushed over from last fall. So remember, I'm still organizing that. So I'm hoping by the end of this month, you know, things will be a lot more organized for you before you start playing with your fall course.
And then for this, I'm going to send you an email, Jessica, because last fall, Banner had Dr. Steele as the lead instructor for, they had him swapped. He and I, so environmental health was actually his course, and biostatistics was mine. So they pushed over the courses with that misinformation. So I'll just send you an email with the correct.
Okay.
And this summer, Dr. Williams and I are going to be co-teaching biostatistics, and it has not been pushed over.
Okay, so you're not listed in Banner for that one?
I don't know. How do I look it up?
Okay, that would probably be something we want to do offline. Since that's
Okay,
MPH, I can send you a note.
great. Okay.
Does anyone have questions on Canvas?
Well,
Okay. I am going to just stop the recording and hang out if you guys want to stay and we can discuss anything else.